grab your popcorn, kick back and relax, because it's time for some more carnage. In today's episode, I've actually got two really cool task force operation attacks to show you guys. It's going to be some more unboosted solos for Operation Bottleneck. But before I show that to you, look at this. This is my current operation I've got going, the top one. Then you've got the two previous ones before that. Usually you can view like 4 or 5 operations previous and watch the attacks from there. Look at this. View battle not available. View battle not available. View battle not available. That is absolute, like, complete rubbish. I don't know why that's the case. This is just something that, for whatever reason, has just popped up after this most recent update for me. Prior to this, I could watch operations that were over a month old, and that was still the case. I could still watch it because it was still like only 1 or 2 operations ago. But for whatever reason, I can't do that anymore. So let's just jump into the video. I thought that was something you guys might be interested in seeing. Anyway, the first one we're going to be looking at is Gambit. And as you can see, I've used Ruka. That's 3 boats of Zookas, and the rest is just Riflemen. So that's 5 boats of Riflemen. You can see my stats there. So let's watch this attack. Pause that. Alright, so now let's look at the base. I've got a hot pot. I've got 3 pain in the butt rockets. In my opinion, this is the harder layout to attack for Gambit, because the standard way to do this, boost it up, is just to get your Zookas up in this back corner, shock everything that needs to be shocked, and just let them rain hell on that core and the buildings around it. But for the simple reason that all of this seems to change on the left, and I think the right side always stays the same. I mean, I very rarely see it change. I've decided to attack the right side just to keep it, I think, more relevant over time and over different layouts that you guys might see. So you guys can see I scouted that rocket at the top here. My Zookas, if I park them at the top, should be out of range, which is good. The range of this first rocket is just past this first cell on the corner. Like, literally just. So, I'm parking all of my boats, trying to group them up as much as I can. I'm not going to have any more time to let them sort of group. So, placing that flare, placing the smoke, so they'll all stay under. As a result of the last update, the troops spread out a lot more. A little bit more than what they used to before the Cryoneer update. Probably about 2 grid squares more. So it's harder to keep them under a smoke now. So for that reason, I double smoked the end there, just to make 100% certain none got fired on. Because I really couldn't afford them to. Shocking those 3 rockets, just because I wanted to make sure nothing got fired on. That shock right there, I felt like I could have got away without it. I feel like I may have been able to survive that somehow if I had timed things a little better. But whatever, you know, we still got the solo, we still got them destroyed. So now at this point, I'm in dire need of some gunboat energy. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to medkit everything, just to make sure if that shock launcher at the top here gets a shot off, I don't lose a heap of troops. So now I have to farm some energy, because at this point my shocks are actually quite expensive. I think it's like 22 gunboat energy or something per shock bomb. So I need at least 2, I feel like, to get the solo, to get the win here. So I'm just letting them farm away those cells. Now I have enough energy for the flare and 2 shocks. So placing the shock, trying to give as much of my troops as much time as possible to get up there. That gets them there. Now they're spreading out. Placing another flare just to make sure they target it. so I don't have to keep reshocking. I've placed that next shock just to make sure it didn't get any shots off, so that was a bit wasteful. I could have saved on shock bombs on this attack. You can see this flamethrower might get taken down. It doesn't. That's unfortunate, but we didn't need for it to get taken down anyway. So we've got plenty of Zookas up the top here, plenty of riflemen. My troops are getting fired on quite extensively. Now I'm just flaring that core. It's guaranteed win from this point. The Zookas up the top are actually out of range. The ones on the side here, I think they're out of range too, to be honest. But there might be a couple that get fired on at the edge. I'm not really sure. Anyway, that was my solo on Gambit. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Now let's take a look at the next base. The next base was actually quite tough. Atlas. I used Tank Medic on Atlas, and just before we jump into that, I do apologize if some of you aren't able to copy my attack on Gambit. That was my first attempt at ever trying Gambit like that. But I'm glad it worked out. So anyway, you guys can see the stats here. Pretty good, unboosted stuff. So let's look at Atlas. So this is my version of Atlas. I've got a shock launcher up the top here. That's quite unfortunate. The base would have been quite easy with Tank Medic if that wasn't there. I could have easily kept those 3 boom cannons out of range. I could have easily just kept that shock and taken it all down. But alas, we can't do that. We got a little bit lucky in one sense. These 2 rockets here are normally shock launchers. That would have been a little problematic. So I brought along 3 boats of medics just to make sure they could out-heal the rockets. But then it sort of struck me, when I'm flaring around, that might become pretty problematic. So I really wanted them to be out-healing everything else. So anyway, for that reason, I decided to change my strategy as I was attacking. I flared there just to make sure as they spread out, they're going to be taking out those rockets. As you can see, my medics are doing a wonderful job of keeping all of my guys safe. These rockets are now getting taken out. That's fantastic. My tanks are now going to spread out and maybe become in range of that cannon. So I'm smoking just to make 100% certain they don't get fired on. We're flaring back down here. Our job is done. We've taken out a lot of those rockets, so the rockets aren't even a problem. But now we face a really massive problem when it comes to smoking tanks. Your medics. If your medics get left behind, they get fired on and they basically just try to heal themselves up. So what you need to do in this situation, as you can see what I'm doing, I'm smoking them just so when my tanks get more damage, they're more inclined to run after the tanks and heal them up. So I managed to save my medics by doing that. So if you guys have that problem, that's an easy way of fixing it. So shocking those cannons, because now my tanks are in range. I did re-flare just to make sure that we're going to be targeting them. Taking out a few cells, as you can see, some of those ones on the edge are taking out cells. That's a little bit of a problem, but it's not a huge problem. So now we've taken out the tanks. We don't really have many threats left. You guys might be wondering what my kill spot is. From experience on Mercury, I know that your tanks can actually outrange the boom cannons when they're behind the core, if you place them right. So I know these boom cannons are out of range at like this corner here, where they are now. The only problem is these 2 boom cannons over here are going to get a few shots off. That 1 boom cannon is actually going to have a chance to pick off more tanks than I would have liked, for the simple reason that the range was reduced a little bit in one of the last updates. So they tend to group up more in front now, which means more losses. Also, I could have had it a little better by placing them all at the top here, if it wasn't for those two boom cannons on the right hand side. But now we're out of range of everything right now, so now my medics are just going to out heal that one rocket quite easily, have enough energy for a med kit. Now it's all a time game. I think at this point I had like a minute and a half left, so by the end of the attack I had like 1 minute, thereabouts. So as you can see, I found a good little kill spot. I feel like this attack, it would have played out a little differently if those two rockets were shock launchers, but it wouldn't have been a big difference. I didn't use many critters. I could have used critters instead, and I probably still could have done it just as well, honestly, I feel like. Because I was shocking a lot, and I was keeping that sort of stuff shocked. So anyway, that's two awesome solos on Bottleneck. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Sorry that the videos for the attacks didn't start straight away in the video, but I was really quite annoyed because I wanted to show you guys this attack on Residue. It was so clutch, and I was so proud of it. And I know Residue's not the hardest base, but it actually turned out to be a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. And I can't view the attack. That's absolute rubbish. That annoys me beyond comprehension. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.